got it. We are on the record.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone on the record.
Hello, Ioan. Very nice to hear you and see you here with your daughter, Sarah. And yeah.
And we are recording now, so we establish some details for the record.
Yeah.
All right.
To ask some questions about this beautiful journey, the EMF. You know, we went together, and how did you find the EMF? What was your best thing? What you see? You know, you've been transformed during these 6 months together. Tell us something that how do you feel about it?
In one word, and it might sound a little bit funny, but I'm going to explain it. You know, when you see some commercials to some programs, you just get exposed to them, and then you see the testimonials, the people, and then they come and say, oh, that changed my life. And the first thing is, oh, come on, really? And EMF changed my life. And I'm going to tell you also why. In a short way, so the long story short is, I was able to make it not about myself. EMF gave me the knowledge and the connection with my heart to be able to make it not about myself, to start playing the raise the significance of others game. And that has a reflection which is very dear to my heart. The best thing in what I was able to do through EMF was reconnecting with my father, as nothing important, you know, was getting my relationship with my wife to a next level. And very interesting, gave me a level of understanding of what's happening and how things are happening, that got me very, very, very close to the river of life, to the flow we are in. So we experience a very beautiful life, because the river is flowing. You know, it's flowing, it has its own way, because as Peter said, the universe is not our servant, it's our partner. So we can decide to work together or against, but the universe always wins. You know, if you fight against the reality wins, because this is how the river flows. So getting me in the flow and swimming downstream and with the stream was actually very relieving for me. I'll try to explain it not with EMF terms, hoping that someone outside the EMF will see this. I was in a place where there were two people in the world whom I led to, or whom messages I was interpreting as humiliating. So for the sake of the communication, I'm gonna address that as they were humiliating me, as now I know nobody has any power upon me unless I give them to first that power, right? But at that time I was interpreting their behavior as humiliating me to figure out how to survive in my family, and that was my father and my brother. So I decided to stop communicating with them, because they were the only two persons whom got me on autopilot as feeling humiliated when they were talking to. That was our game, and it was a very old game playing, so very default communication there. So they said something, I felt humiliated. They said something, and even if I wanted to present something to them, oh, look what I've done, look what my new project at work, they were coming up from a place of humiliating me because it was so familiar for them. So after being blessed with Sarah in our life as part of our family, my wife and I decided to end the communication with them. So I transmit her the model of nobody humiliates your father. You know, we are gods to them, and she deserves the best of my best version. So this was how far I could go at that point, and stop communicating with them instead of showing Sarah that anyone could humiliate me. And through the EMF, I was able to have the level of understanding that got me to a place where I'm not playing that game anymore. So it was very funny how I reconnected with my father, because I was not willing to, but my grandma connected the two of us as her last contribution for her journey here. And basically, I was in Romania for a business meeting, and she passed when I was in Romania. So I was able to participate to her funeral, where I got to meet my father and started talking with him. And I was halfway through the EMF, and I knew a lot of things, so I could connect with my father. I was not going there from a place of pride and needing attention. Oh, look at me, I popped up from England to Romania all through this craziness just to see me and to... No, I was there for my grandma. And I could connect with my father. I was able to find the answer to his question. So he was 40 years old, my age. He was asking me, please tell me I'm a good father. That was his message, and he tried 40 years old. He was trying to find ways to tell me that. And he was quite ingenious, starting from beating me to trying to spend time with me, to give me money, to take his money back, to all sorts of stuff. That was his message. Please, he was trying, please tell me I'm a good father. And I, at the same time, I was yelling at him, please love me. And we were going like that. We were not meeting one another. So the effect of that was that I didn't allow him to see my daughter. I kept him away because I didn't want that game in my family, and that level of communication. So having the EMF as a background, and I mean, this is the work I've done, and I'm so grateful for it. Thank you, Peter, and thank you, Ioan, for your guidance. So I was able to understand this message, to see behind the scenes of his games. And also with my brother is the same. It's just a bit a different approach. And I told him this when I connected with him on the funeral of my grandma. I said, this is what I think you are trying to tell me. And yes, you are a good father. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for everything you've done to me or for me. Yes. Because otherwise I wouldn't have been where I am now. And I really like this place right now. So thank you so much. And he was like, come again? He started crying. Yeah. He had his answer 40 years long. So like, tell me. And it got hit. For the funeral of his mother, it was really intense. And the effect of that, he was always telling us when we were traveling to Romania, you should come to my house to bring me your child, to spend time here. You should do this. You should do this. And after having this conversation with him, he was something like, can I come and see your daughter? Wow. And I was like, whoa, now we are talking. Of course you can. We are welcoming you. And we were in Romania, living in some other place, 3 hours driving time from where he was. And he was like, knowing that for the funeral, after the funeral, next day, we should have a flight back to UK. Plane schedule got jammed because of the beautiful world we are living in. And they got us one more day in Romania. And he was calling me to ask me if we arrived well in the UK. I said, no, I'm still in Romania. Our plane got canceled, so we have one day here. And then when he said, oh, can I come to see Sarah? I said, yes, of course. And he jumped in the car, he left everything, work, everything, and jumped in the car to drive 3 hours to see her. She was waiting for him on the street, like waiting for her grandfather. And they connected and spent a great time together. And I was able to accept this because of the EMF. And it was not something really specific what got me there. It just happens on the process. I cannot name, although I have some aha moments in the program, but it's not related to this. And that was the story with my father, is very dear to my heart. I reconnected with him, and I can spot his games. I can understand where he comes from, and I can give him his answers when he comes to me and asks for And if he's frightened about my level of understanding, I am able to explain to him in his words to the depth he needs to understand things and to be okay with how I am now. But sometimes it might be frightening that tell one that everything you see around you is your creation. Whoa, 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 what do you mean? You know? Some people are not ready for that, are not ready to take that responsibility. So this is one thing that EMF has done to me. You know,
it's a huge thing. It's a transformation on a way that it's because it's cured the cause. You know, not like trying to give you some, you know, painkiller, or let's say you've been curing the cause of the whole, you know, family issue and these emotional, you know, stuff. What I was relating for, like you say, for 40 years. It's like, come on, it's this is something, you know.
And it's real, you know. It's when that's theory, and now we are here, we are safe. I am safe emotionally. We can talk about it, no problem. But when I was at the funeral, I didn't have the books with me. And it was a very intense moment. It's all the memories, all the people, and there were people even, and it is a while since then, and I have now another understanding than I had back then. And there were people who couldn't identify me, they couldn't recognize me, and not because I look pretty different than 5 or 10 years ago when they last saw me, but is that I have a different energy around me. I breathe a different air. I see things different, and this is something the other ones are feeling. Rather they can acknowledge it or not. It's their game, their awareness level. But they were, and it's a beautiful tradition there. They were sending their children to talk to me and then come back and confirm that it was me. They were not coming, you know, older people, they are not coming. They are too proud to do that.
Yeah.
But they were sending the young one. Go talk to that guy and see, have him tell you who he is. Nice. And when we got out with the coffin, and so I was blessed to be able to carry the coffin with for my grandmother. And it was like I had to tell everybody, it is not about me, people. I am not here for myself. I am here to pay my respects for my grandma. So please focus on her. You know, I'm not here because I was one of the few people wearing a suit. Everybody started on, where the hell did you get a suit in 2 days after your grandma died? And you are popped here in a terms where nothing is flying. It's like bomb and wearing a suit. They were asking me, where did you get the suit from? It's like, seriously, guys, seriously. We haven't seen one another for 10 years. We are here to pay our respects to my grandma, bless her. Is this what you want to ask me? I can tell you that, of course. I had one here. You know, I didn't buy any. But another funny thing, how I came to participate to that and to connect with my father, that's a very beautiful story, and also relates a lot with the EMF and my understanding. And I would like to tell that as well. Then I'll jump to another story, which got my heart melted, and also because of the EMF. But this, I was in Romania for a business meeting. We had to participate to a wedding from a business partner. We were invited. We could fly there 2 days before the customs closed and nothing flew anymore. And it was interesting. We didn't have to quarantine there. It was the rule. We caught the window of time we could travel, and we went there and we were having a good time. And as you probably know, in that part of Europe, there is a very fixed agenda on a wedding. So things have to happen on a certain place in a certain order, otherwise there's trouble, right? Yeah. So nobody is allowed to dance before the couple who's marrying. Yeah. Nobody is allowed to eat before a priest blesses the food.
Exactly.
And it's very interesting because as I see it now, just a short parenthesis, again back to EMF. when a priester blesses the food, it raises its vibration, so it's better for you in terms of how you influence your body through what you put in the system. And yes, we can influence the food we are eating. There's a lot of going on now. Oh, it's not good to eat meat. It's not good to eat vegetables. It's good to eat vegetables. It's not good to eat sugar. It's good to eat sugar. You can influence what you eat by the state of mind you are in when you eat. And if you are grateful, you raise the vibration from the food you are eating to be closer to you. So that's what's actually happening. And I know if by any chance a priester, an Orthodox priester, which is not kind of enlightened and accepts a different way, would hear this, would say, oh no, that's blasphemy, you know. And that's what's happening. You raise the vibration of the food, so it's better for you, for your body, and you stay attuned in a higher vibration level.
The food. Yeah.
Yes. So I felt this. I first understood this when we baptized Sarah, because I opted to do this in a monastery, and they don't usually do it there. It's for them, baptizing is a party. Oh, let's get drunk. I had a different approach for 4 people in the church, with including the priester, and the priester is a monk very dear to me, who knew my parents. And I said, I want to do this. I'm not allowed. Don't worry, nobody will hear. And at that point in the monastery, I felt the energy from the Holy Spirit, Holy God, name it as you want. The universe was channeling energy through me as a father, through the mom, and through the priester to raise the vibration of the new soul coming and cleaning her sins, quote unquote. And I felt that. It's like I get goosebumps right now. You know,
I get them too.
I felt it, and I didn't know what's happening. It was the first encounter, and it was then I understood. I had, like, for 2 days I had tingles in my hand, in my hands for 2 days after that moment. A very powerful moment, and I'm so grateful for that moment. And also because of DMF, I was understanding that
yes, what's going on
4 years later, you know, and 5 years later. So I felt the same at that wedding when the priester was blessing the food. And it got me somehow, what the hell is going on? It's a meaningless wedding. Sorry, it was meaning compared to the moment of baptizing my child. A wedding was nothing, but I had the same feeling. And the priester I had no connection with was quite bored. I had to say a prayer so the wedding can go on and he can start partying. And I had that feeling. I said, that there's something behind it. It cannot be for me to be so connected with this apparently meaningless event in a vibration level way. Not that I didn't want to go there. I was there and I was enjoying, but this feeling from that moment, baptizing my child, replaced here, it was like, what's happening? There was something more there, you know. Anyway, the priester ends and we start eating and partying. 1 hour later, I got a phone call from my brother telling, bro, grandma passed. Bit different said, but grandma passed away. I said, when? An hour ago.
Wow.
That's what I felt.
Wow.
And it was like a bong. And then I said, when's the funeral? Then I'll be there. So my father did not know. We were not talking to one another at that time. And I had no idea he had a near-death experience himself because of this pandemic. And he was in the hospital and the doctors were waiting and still alive, damn it, still alive. You know, they were waiting for him to pass and he didn't. And what he told me about that was the strangest feeling is that he felt alone in front of the death. He's alone. So he learned his way up there, but he had no idea that I am in Romania. He had no idea that he's gonna see me at that funeral. And basically his mother was his last soul connection where he felt safe with his mom. All the others are politics for him, and he cannot trust other people to a level where he opens his soul. That's his experience, that's his journey, and I respect that. And seeing me, he was grieving, like he was leaving the grief level. He was not just visiting there. He was like, when I saw him, he was so low energy, he could barely move. Explainable somehow.
Yeah.
And when I entered the room and saw him, I'm not coming from a proud point of view right now, don't get me wrong, but I was able to take him out of that state and bring him to another state of joy, of more livable state, in a higher energy, because he saw his son. In a moment he was alone again.
Yeah.
And he couldn't believe his eyes. It was a surprise for him, like, am I saying this right? No, it's I have seen my mom here in the coffin for a while, but am I not having fantasies, And we got to connect to one another, and then I told him all the stuff, and he got to see Sarah and to spend some time with her. And this everything was because of the work from Peter and of you guys, and I got to have this understanding and stay calm in front of what was happening, what the universe was sending my way as a confirmation that I got this. I got to assess what was happening and actually not lose my nerve. And oh my God, my grandma, that was her last contribution to us, getting for her son his son back, and for her nephew his father back. And it was an amazing contribution, because we decide when we go. Another mind-breaking stuff. How do you mean? We decide, we choose our parents, we decide when we go. It's like, what? It is like that. So she decided to go when she could fulfill this contribution. And I know now we all contribute, rather willingly or unwillingly. And when we don't want to contribute, the universe gets us to contribute. It's like, sense
like
events.
it or not, you are part of the game. And we all part of the game.
Yeah, exactly. You don't get to exit now. You come here and work for me. So this is it, with the story with my father, and reconnected from my father, because I had this EMF. So changed my life, as I said, changed my life. Oh, come on. Yes, it did. It did. And my relationship with my father now is, we talk from time to time. When he feels free, he calls me. When I want, I call him. We have a good time. Now, of course, he goes to visit the same old patterns. He was doing it for the last 40 years, and he's 70 now. I don't expect him to change in terms of how he approaches me, but I just am able to send him all my love when he approaches me.
His energies, and that's
Exactly.
That's like a two-way of pulling a rope. If someone lets the rope off, the other one cannot pull it anymore, because the game is over.
Exactly. So and it's basically the same story with my brother as well. I'm not going to go there, because it's the same principle.
Yes.
What I'm going to tell you another story, what got me really like eye-opening, and that was an aha moment because of the USM, and that what got me to decide to go in the EMF, because the USM, that moment, I'm going to tell you the story in a minute, when I realized what's happening and why I got there through the USM, I said, I need to do the EMF. It was the next level for me. And what happened was, in the 25th of May 2019, we celebrated our wedding. 2019, yes, and it was 2021 when we celebrated 5 years. My wife and I, we celebrated 5 years of our marriage. And of course, I'm a guy and I wanted to impress my wife. And at that point, I was having already the straight dog 9 from Peter under my belt. So it's about relationships. And we were celebrating. I wanted to impress her. I bought her a ring from the Las Vegas where we got married. And I wanted to create a special moment for her. Spent all my money on it. And the day comes and I pop up with the ring, happy anniversary, dear. And something didn't feel right. That didn't feel right. It was like, oh, party and so, but no. And 1 hour later, she comes to me and she said, I want to tell you something, but I am quite concerned that you are going to get mad. I said, no, come on, tell me, what's wrong? I don't like the ring. Could you please send it back? That moment was the moment where I decided to hug my wife and to be grateful, because I had the level of understanding to see she chose me and exposed herself to be vulnerable, to tell me her heart, what was in her heart, instead of having a ring, a meaningless ring in a shelf, and not living together with me. Without the word from Peter and listening to that straight talk, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I was too egocentric before. I was too focused and self-focused and coming from a lack mentality. What do you mean I spend all my money on this ring? Now you like it. Who am I to, what gives me the right upon who should or shouldn't love me? you know, uh, it's like, and I got it. And she was so relieved and so happy. And we had the best anniversary of our life. Of course, I sent the ring back, got all the money back. It was like the universe sent me this, created this situation so I can see where I'm at. So I that was the moment I said, I have to go through EMF, because if the USM with its space and a different approach than the EMF.
Yeah.
If the USM got me this quality of life, of being able to celebrate with my wife and give her the impression that she can expose herself to her husband,
yeah,
in such a way to be so vulnerable, I have to cherish this. So it was just, for me, it was like, whoa, this is what's happening. And it's, the funny thing is that you get to read stuff, and Peter talks about stuff, and it's pretty general stuff. It's not pinpointed. He never talked about my father in the course. He never talked about the relationship with my wife, but it was me who, through absorbing the information from him, I was able to reassess my personal private life and to interpret it in a better way, in a more beneficial way to myself. Because everything, as you know, everything we can do is experience life. And my experience with the ring could have been a pretty nasty one.
Yes.
Could have been. But I was able to decide to make it a life-changing experience. And this is about the tools we learn.
Yeah.
Because you tell tools, and I come back to my brother. I studied computer science, which is a set of rules you make up. You cannot see the software. You just say, let's both agree that from now on 1 + 1 = 0, and that's a rule we are talking with. We are considering it for the future. And he was like, okay, a tool is a tool. You have to hold it in your hand. Otherwise, if you cannot see it, it doesn't exist. And I'm talking about these tools from Peter. It's not something like an oracle or so he gave us. It's getting exposed to his way of being. We learn to be in a way that places us in a different game in our life. And this is what I call the tools we gave as contrast frames, for instance.
Yes.
Contrast frames. That's an amazing tool. And it's not something like I call contrast frames. It's something you get to reassess every situation. If something happens, you can be grateful about what happened. And again, as Peter says, we are here to learn to choose love upon fear in ever more challenging circumstances. This is, and the universe just challenges us.
It's always that's especially when you start, redirecting your focus. It's always
Yeah,
gives you signs.
yeah. So, and it's beautiful. It's not like, oh my God, I finished it, now I'm not touching it because I don't want the universe to challenge me. No, it's give me more. Let's call it life. It's an abundance of emotions and of the beauty of living and of fulfilling my work towards my daughter. I am really keen to give her the best version of myself. There she is, talking of my daughter.
Becoming addictive to life, literally,
Yes,
because
exactly.
you know the games, you know the rules, you know how to set up for
Yeah,
yourself and ultimately for everybody, everything around you. And that's what we're talking here. And
yeah,
that's a beautiful part, how it sets, and everything, it starts from within. And that's how I see that's the true transformation. These are the tools what the EMF gives to us
yeah,
to
yeah.
transform the inner world, so the outer world will shift
Follow.
around
Yeah,
it. So everything is shifting, and that's what you explained beautifully, through your experiences with your loved ones, with your family. And that's the beautiful part, because you changed, EMF changed your inner world, your psychology, and that's shifting everything.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's beautiful.
I have another story for you to see how we block the flow of the universe to flow through us. And it is probably a lot of people are hearing Peter talking through me. The universe flows through us. It's in a form of a torus, if you want to dig deeper or so. But very beautiful story. I started a company 3 years ago, and it was more like a hobby company. But I had in mind, oh, from this company, I'm going to buy myself a house. And it was like, okay, so facts and numbers. If I want to buy myself a house, I have to have the company at 7 figures. And of course, it was far away from 7 figures. And not a chance. It was a hobby company. So at some point through the EMF, I got to realize that, okay, I want a house. Most of us do. I have to take my company to 7 figures. I had no idea how to do that, which was a good thing. But what happens after I get 1 million? Because the house of my dreams, 1 million pounds, by the way, which is quite a high sum. I'm still thinking that. Um, and then what? And that was an aha moment. And then I'm not going to close the company. And this amount of money won't be like something in a luggage. It will be hopefully something like a flow. So that abundance of my company would allow other people to create, or would allow me to create a house for myself through that mechanism, right? And I got this, like, okay, so I don't have to close the company. And after the first million, the company will keep growing. And funny thing was, yeah, okay, that those were thoughts of myself, and nice thoughts. And so what happened was, I got to know marketing agency straight after that talk. It was like hours after. I got to get a videographer. I got to get an accountant. I got to get the people whom I'm collaborating with to make it happen. After unblocking myself from this 1 million, one house, and then what?
Yeah.
No, and the beauty of it was that I was not thinking about it. It came to me. It popped in my mind. Now, if you are doing the voodoo, it is voodoo. If you are an altar, it is God's will. I don't know how that happened. It popped in my mind, and I'm beautifully and so grateful that I could spot that thought. I could catch that thought. That made the difference.
Yeah.
And the company is like skyrocketing. Of course, I have to do the work. And it's a lot of work, and I want to do it, but it gives me so much joy of trying to and also because of everything is because of EMF, what changes completely your awareness. Why did this happen? It was that million and that blockage. I had the blockage. My father still works at his house. It's a beautiful house, and everything in his life is that house, and revolves around that house. So I was imprinted with the same desire.
Yeah.
That's copy paste what we don't address and get to our awareness as parents, get copy pasted in the children. That's my belief. So I got the same desire to have my own house. And it's nothing special. It's not something like, oh, I want to build an empire. No, it's one house. But how to get there? Before EMF, I was thinking, how the hell am I going to make so much money? And now, when I'm talking to my collaborators, and so I'm telling them my vision is to contribute to so many people's lives, yes, that they will happily allow me to live among them. In terms of a house, in terms of money, and in terms of that's the how. That's not important. But it's my focus from a egocentric focus. How do I get the money? Yeah. To how can I contribute? Yeah. And that's the biggest difference that EMF made for me. I got to be able to think and to live for the others rather than for myself. Yeah. And it's a big one. It's I see people in relationships. I see people focused on themselves. Give me your love. Tell me what I want to hear. Do that for me, rather than going and contributing to your beloved life. Yeah. You need a pair of shoes, my dear wife. I have no idea what your taste is, but let's take a car and go to a shop and you choose a nice pair of shoes. I can facilitate that. Your needs become my needs. Not that I need a pair of shoes as well. That's a pride approach. That's something different. But if you need something, I will do my best to support you on your journey. If you are telling me that you feel a little bit encasted in my way of being, then I'm here to tell you, you are free. You are free to do whatever you like. Of course, I'm going to be sad if you choose to leave. Yeah. I'm going to be happy every time I see you, but you have the freedom to do whatever you like. And that's a level of loving I couldn't understand before. I wouldn't. It passes near me, near my awareness. I probably got to in situation where I could have experienced that, but I couldn't see it that way. Yeah. Funny story, and might be shocking, and it's also I'm gonna give it to you as publish it. So get people scared to reassess where they are. One day I go to my wife and say, I don't need you anymore. And she was like crying of joy, hugging me and kissing me and saying, I love you too. Mm-hmm. Huh? I was able to tell her I don't need her anymore, so I can only love her. Yeah. Because as I've learned from the EMF, you cannot love that what you need. So I was able to do that, and the relationship with my wife, regardless of the contract we signed, that's a piece of paper for me. And I was lucky through all the pandemics we had enough toilet paper. But the relationship with her is definitely a next level. Next level. So me being able to tell her I don't need you anymore and not being scared, because my childhood trauma was the abandonment one. I was accepting funny stuff. I'm not going into details. That's a discussion with my therapist. And by the way, psychotherapy is for me like brushing the teeth. You have to do it regularly for the mind hygiene. I recommend it. And it was a beautiful thing the work I'm doing with my therapist, beautiful soul, God bless him, and the work from Peter, they matched at the end. And I was able to talk to my therapist, which I'm paying, by the way, to listen to me. That's basically what's happened.
Exactly.
I was talking to him about Pete's work and how I see things, and he was able to give me the great names that discovered the mechanism I found in Pete's work. So they matched, and he's the therapist is a professional, certified, if you want to, therapist who has done his whole life work in terms of psychology and studying great names of psychology and contributed in that way in synthesizing how we live and how we interpret things, so we can bring to our awareness our experience in a better way.
Yes.
And he was using the scientifically proven approaches to guide me. And Peter has also based his work in on science and on cutting edge science. Some of the science he uses there is not known by anyone, is not even public. And those two directions matching at the end of the EMF, I was like, hell yeah, it makes sense. It's like boom.
Yeah, it's for the left brainers like us. It's like, it's, you cannot deny it anymore, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's something
exactly.
like you have to accept it, because it's like it comes from multiple directions,
Yeah.
and from the direction you would trust, you cannot deny it anymore. So it's and
Yeah.
that's what it's caused the huge shift in your life, and start to applying these. And
So what I learned with Peter matched on the labels I had before and trusting the labels before, like a psychologist, like a science, like we label things to be able to cope with them.
Yes.
And also in terms of food is the same. My red is not your red. The way we see colors is different, although we named that thing red, and we agree, okay, this is red. It's the labels, the name. I was telling my father, I changed my name when I got married, my family name. It's a very funny story, and my father has a hard time with that one because he's very attached to that label, to his name.
Sure.
And my first name and last name were identical to his, and me changing the family name because I had my own reason, and my focus was on my family, not on his family. And he was having a hard time, and I was explaining him, labels, it's a label. I'm not Ioan. Ioan is just a sound you were making to get my attention when I was a child. I was like, are you drunk? Have you smoked something? So it's labeled. So I was able at the end of the EMF and also through the EMF to map Peter's work on the labels and to synchronize the information. And it was, at the beginning, there is the risk to experience the cognitive dissonance phenomenon. It's like, what the heck is that? And the program is designed to unbalance you in that way, so you are more permissive with what you are going to learn. If you are sitting straight in a chair and someone wants to unbalance you, it's harder than if you are already on the edge and someone tells you go in that direction. This is how the program is designed.
Yeah.
So this cognitive dissonance went away at the end of the program when it rematched on my labels. I got to sit straight in a chair, but knowing a lot more. And it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. And I also got to reassess my old labels. It goes both ways. Because I remember about 10 years ago or 20 years ago, I was afraid of the psychologist. I was scared that they will manipulate me into something, things I don't know. And that's come on. It was my level at that time. Now I'm regularly brushing my teeth. So yeah, it's amazing. So it's the difference is that the EMF is applied science. So it's this is how it works. And it's a model. It's, Pete says himself, the only truth with a capital T is that we don't know the goddamn truth. But it's certainly a model of seeing the world that is so empowering. It's so relieving and gives me so much joy and so much abundance and prosperity. And what prosperity, I don't have 10 times more money in my account, although I am not burning so much money in the future. And I know that is also for the left brain or something like, I don't have any drinks on my table. It's morning, you know. I'm still coherent. That it's abundance is, and prosperity is the perception of abundance.
Yes.
I decide to live an abundance life because I want to see my daughter. I want to see the things I spent with her. And this is a beautiful drawing, by the way. This is how I see it. And this is my abundance. And I am able to assess this as my abundance based on the work from Peter. And when I say this, I'm referring to this beautiful work, you know. And it's a lot much more than those. This is only the workbook. There's only the homework. You know?
Exactly. Oh, yeah.
Only a tiny part of it. So yeah, it's amazing. Also, thank you on the record, Isran, for the meditation calls, for your facilitation. It's amazing to see so much support. And it's, as I said, people get unbalanced, and then you need reassurance and need guidance and a holding hand. And from time to time, it's tough, and it's good that it's tough. If it's not tough, you are missing the point. No,
life is a growth-centric experience, not a comfort-centric
exactly,
one. Right?
exactly. So when people are fighting, learning this new concept, having a holding hand is crucial. And I experience both sides. Also through my work, I am a holding hand for other people in a different topic. And I had your holding hand, and it's really, really amazing. Thank you so much from my heart. Thank you. It made a difference.
Yes, thank you so much. Also, because it was really a great journey, you know, what we went through, and like you know, we all transformed, like having like more than 100 people in this group, and seeing them like showing up, and you know, everybody was, you know, on their level, on their journey, you know, experiencing different things. But this is what it's all about. It's really where you are at, and recognizing where you're at, and start expressing. And it's really, you know, creating huge difference in every area of your life. I was going to ask you about your business, but you already said, you know, shared about your business story, how you transformed, you know, with the business, with family and everything. And this is huge. And yeah, thank you, Jan, for this interview, and, you know, showing
from all my heart. Thank you for interviewing me. Thank you for spending the time with me to let me tell my story. It was all about me, you know, so thank you so much.
No, thank you. And thank you for you, Sarah, being here. Thank you.
Thank you. You just say you're welcome.
That's okay.
Yeah.